Hey there, my name is Vaughn, and this is the Vaughncast Show. This is a podcast that focuses on mental health, breaking societal stigmas, harm reduction, addiction, and recovery. If you like what you hear, subscribe and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, follow the podcast Instagram at the Vaughncast Show, where I post video content from the show. All right, let's get into today's episode. All right, welcome to the Vaughncast Show. Hope y'all having a good Friday. Today I got guest, the homie, also a hip hop artist, Timothy Rhyme. Man, how's it going?
What's up, Vaughn? Man, everything's good, bro.
Good. So I want to say happy belated Father's Day, man. I know it just passed this weekend. How was your Father's Day?
Oh man, thank you. I really enjoyed my Father's Day, bro. It was pretty relaxing. I went to go watch Inside Out 2 with the kids and the wife, and we went to go eat at this place called For the Win in Glendale. I don't know if anybody's been there, but that place is fire. And yeah, man, just hung out. So it's pretty cool.
Nice, man. That's awesome. So that's good, dude. So today we're here to talk about your latest single from Profound called Heaven in My Mind.
Yes, sir.
Very good song. I dig the message, man. To get some credit, like who produced the song, the mix and the cover art and all that?
Okay, so I'm in a group called Profound where I'm the MC and my boy Gabriel Velasquez, he's the producer. So he made the beat. The person that did the mixing and the mastering, his name is Lester Mendoza. He goes by Traction. If you want to look him up on like Instagram, it's at Traction, TRAKSHUN. He's dope. He's based out here in LA. The cover art was done by the homie named JC Designs. And yeah, man, it all came together pretty well.
Dope, man. Very cool. I really do like the cover art. Like how everything was put together.
Thank you.
So yeah, I really like the song because it has a really cool message. It talks about a lot of things that I'm into with like mental health and all that. So what is the inspiration behind the song?
Oh man, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I feel like this song is all about mental health. It kind of veers off into like sobriety, veers off into like some anxiety and depression. But for the overall theme is just like mental health.
Right. Yeah, I resonate with a lot of it. Um, Hell on earth, heaven in my mind. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, man. So like so heaven in my mind has a very like deep rooted meaning to me. When I was like 18 or 19, I got a tattoo of that exact saying on my arm. And it always like signified for me as like no matter what I'm going through to just try to keep a positive outlook on things. Because at the time I was going through some really like crazy stuff. And like, you know, even since then, like throughout my journey, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs. So whenever I was down, I would always try to just remind myself, like, you know, to focus on the positive and just try to like, you know, regardless of how many negatives I'm seeing in my surroundings, just try to like focus on the goods that are in my surrounding.
Right. You know, come to think of it, I recall that tattoo on your forearm. I remember from back in the day. I'm like, that's a pretty cool saying. I didn't realize it's on the song now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like that phrase, man. Just hell on earth, heaven in my mind. Like even though all the bad stuff is going on in the external, like you can have inner peace to a degree. You know, you can be grateful and all that. And it's really tough, man. But I know you went through your struggles, ups and downs. So, hearing from that coming from you, it's a lot, man. So good stuff, bro. So from here on out, I dropping some lines that you wrote that I really liked that I wanted you to talk about. Yeah, and very cool song, man. Like I really relate to a lot of this stuff. I think now that I'm a little older and I know I'm clean now. It's like, okay, we were saying makes sense. If we sit back and observe, we can decode, but we're stuck in survival mode, so we can be cold. Talk to us about survival mode and learning to switch it off when we don't need to use it anymore.
It's a hard one, man. I mean, to be very, very blunt, a lot of people aren't able to figure that part out. And I think that's one of the most important parts. And I'm glad you caught that, man. I mean, I feel like that's like one of the main messages of the entire song is um, just trying to, understand like what it means to be in survival mode and then understanding what it leads to, like us like turning like more cold and more, like heartless and more like willing to do things that we normally wouldn't. And trying to find a way to like, not let that continue. So, me personally, I think the way that I was able to, start to turn off my survival mode was to really, really try to be honest with myself and start healing, start reflecting on like my life and the choices that I made and how they made me feel, whether they be good or bad. I think that's a lot of survival mode is just like turning off the feelings, man, and like not being aware of what's truly going on inside because you're just trying to like make it to the next day, make it through the next moment, make it through the next situation. So you turn everything off and you just kind of like go off of instinct and you kind of go off of like whatever you feel like is going to get you through those moments. And a lot of times, man, it has like drugs and alcohol like included in that. So it makes things a little bit more difficult to like, rectify and to like come to terms with because until the drugs and the alcohol are removed from the situation, like you can't really understand what that is doing to you. You can't really like really get an assessment of what your survival mode looks like. Everybody's is different, man. And like, it serves a purpose. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm grateful that like, regardless of whatever happens in my life, bro, like I know if I hit rock bottom again, I will survive. I have no fear that like I'm ever going to be like down and out because I've bounced back so many times, and I've come out of so many ugly situations that like if I was ever be in that situation again, like Lord willing, I'm not, but I have that in me. It's like a double-edged sword, man. Like it's good that you have it, but at the same time, like it could end up harming you if you don't know when to sheath that sword. You know what I mean?
100%, man. I mean, survival mode sounds cool. Like you're surviving and everything. You got to do what you got to do. There's survival shows and everything, and it sounds very like masculine, quote unquote. Is I'm doing my thing, and it does to a degree, man. But I feel like it does something to you. It numbs you. It desensitizes you.
Exactly.
For me, I mean, survival mode for me was using because at that time in my life, which I'm grateful for, I felt like that was my only way to get by in life. I wasn't able to process my emotions and deal with the past. And even though I'm clean now, I still see in certain things, like I get anxious over certain things, or when, this happens or that happens. It's almost like, it's like, I'm still in that mode where it's like the thing I survived from is still happening. It's almost like this is a really bad comparison, but like I'm still like in combat or something, but I'm not. Like I'm safe now, but I'm still reacting to those those triggers and like little things like that. And to me, it's I mean, I see a therapist. That's one of the things I go for. It's like, dude, I got to turn this off. Like, I don't have to do X, Y, and Z anymore, but I'm still doing it when, I'm safe and sound. Like, I don't need to do all this anymore. So for me, it's like, yeah, we can be cold. We can, if we can decode what we're doing, we can maybe be mindful, like, hey, I don't have to do this anymore. Or like this, whatever I'm doing, that whatever action I'm doing, it helped me like 10, 15 years ago, but it was 10, 15 years ago. You're not in that position anymore. You don't have to do all that stuff. So when you said that, I was like, oh shit, yeah. It makes a lot of sense. We can be cold to things like I don't know, there's this cool thing I was growing up. Oh, guys don't feel emotions. Like it's cool to be emotionless and everything. But man, like it does something to you because for me, it's like you learn that from whoever taught you that or whatever. But later down the road, you don't know how you're feeling because you learned so well how to mask that in the past that how you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, man, I heard Steve-O say something that resonated with me about something that you just said. And he said that you don't really deal with your addiction or your alcoholism or whatever you're dealing with until you get sober. And it kind of like hit me because everything that you just said, bro, like I still experience too. So like I've been sober now for, I think this is my 12th year. No, this is going to be my 13th year in July. And I still catch myself like getting triggered or getting anxious or getting like, nervous about certain situations. And I've just learned over the years that that's just normal because of all of these. It's you made the equation to war, man. Like a lot of this trauma that you kind of put yourself through or you experience in survival mode, it doesn't just go away. It's like the equation of going to war, man. People experience things in war that, that they never are able to get over. I mean, a lot of times people can with the help of therapists and with the help of other, things that they find, healing. But there's a lot of things that some people just can't. But the fact that you are able to like sober up, think clear and really understand that you're experiencing those things, dude, that's huge. That's huge. That is the decoding that like I mentioned in the song, man. If we sit back and observe, we can decode, but we never sit back and observe. Cause like you said, we're not taught how to do that, bro. Like as men, we're taught to just, you don't sit back and observe your feelings or nothing like that because that's not considered manly. That's not considered cool. But it's like, it's so counterintuitive, bro. Because to be the best version of men that we can possibly be, bro, like we have to be able to be that in tune with that part of ourselves. So I'm just trying to like experience something different so I could like teach my son something different because that's like the most important part of this whole journey for me.
Right. And you also said the next one I'm going to go to is unhealed wounds will always poison the youth. Is that coming from like a father's perspective? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, bro, definitely. I recognized and I still recognize like things that I have experienced that have been unhealed within myself that either I have passed down or I recognize that I was starting to pass down. And I am doing my part now to try to reverse those things or to try to prevent those things from like persisting. Um, I think it's like kind of like a generational curse in some sense that you have to be mindful of whether you're the recipient or you're the person that's giving that or passing that down. And I think that the only way to be aware of those things is like we just said, man, is just sit back and observe and try to decode and try to like, understand where your traumas are, understand like what you're experiencing and understand how it's manifesting in your life, in your communication, in your relationships and within yourself, man, like the things that you're telling to yourself. So that way, you can lead by example and show your friends, your family, your offspring something different, and you can experience life in a much like healthier and a much more fulfilling way.
Yeah, totally, man. Uh, I also saw it as, like unhealed wounds will like poison whoever you're with, regardless if it's, your kid or like a relationship. Uh, but yeah, man, I feel like it does transfer, like hurt people
Exactly.
kind of thing. And a lot of times we don't even realize it. For me, I'm cool enough relationships just because I know like, man, it's a lot. It's very, it's a lot of effort and time consuming. And I know I'm not fully like, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever fully healed, but I'm still in a position right now where I can only take care of myself. And that's, being honest, that's
Yeah.
kind of why I'm like, yeah, it's really tough. But yeah, man, I feel like, generational trauma or curses is passed on. If it's not healed, you know, I think that's where like a lot of it starts with the childhood thing, like, passes down. it's just like it's really passed down from generation to generation, and up until it's fixed, I think it'll keep getting passed on. So kind of do my part just to like go to therapy, and I stop partying and everything. Have to really address what's going on, address the past, and just really heal from it.
Hey, but
So yeah, I like that.
but props to you, Vaughn, for even recognizing that about yourself, bro. Like being able to say, like, I'm cool out for relationships right now because I could just take care of me right now, and that's powerful, bro. Because you are extending yourself like so much love that I think that it's gonna like bear a lot of fruit for you in the future. Because when you go through the cycle,
Thanks, man.
when you go through the cycle of not recognizing that, and then you get into a relationship, and then you go through the motions, and then like that doesn't work out because you're doing the same things, because you're not taking the time to heal, you're not taking the time to recognize what's going on. It just transfers, and it just keeps transferring. So you're doing the work, and you're being mindful of not only the energy that you're putting into yourself, but potentially your future partner, man. And that's going to have so many ripple effects if you guys end up having kids, or if you guys end up like getting married and all those other things, because all of these unhealed traumas, all of these unhealed wounds, all of these things that we don't decode, or all these survival mode things that we have that are embedded in us, if we don't let them go, man, they always manifest in our relationships in one form or another. So I could give you props, bro. That's a real
Thank you, man.
that's a real respectful thing to do.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It's tough. I mean, when I was a lot younger, I felt like I had to be in a relationship. I saw everybody else into it. I just saw this pattern of, you know, it works out. It's cool at first, and then it doesn't. And it was always, I always blame the girl. It's her fault that, she did this, she did that. And I didn't realize, like, man, I had a part in it too, the insecurity and just the cheating and just in general, man. I was immature. I was in my 20s, I was young and everything. And I just realized, like, man, I was doing this. I was getting into relationships with the fact I thought that maybe if I get in a relationship, I'll be happier. I mean, it sounds about right, but I feel like I don't think I really knew myself at the time. Ain't nothing wrong with getting in relationships and everything. I think it's part because it's human. You like somebody and they like you. You get a vibe, see where it goes. But man, the last time I tried these things, man, like I was still using and everything, bro. Like I like to self destruct, man, especially when it goes south. Something about it, man. Like, oh, it's going bad. I'm getting fucked up and everything. That's also what I'm kind of mindful of, man, because I don't know. I'm still, I don't know. I've only got like what 20 months clean, and I think I'm mindful of that. Hey, if I start falling for a girl and everything, and it's a lot right now.
I mean, I went through the same thing, bro. Like it's addictive. Like just the drama itself in a relationship, whether there's drugs and alcohol involved or not, man, like it can be addictive. The sex, you know what I'm saying? Like if the sex is good, I mean, it can be addictive. It may not be the best situation for you, but sometimes those are hard to get out of.
Yeah, man. So yeah, dude, just like the unhealed wounds will just transfer, and I feel like you have to take a step back for myself. I have to really stop. I'm like, man, I'm hurting I'm hurting other women, but I'm hurting myself too. I'm putting myself in these situations thinking like, oh, I got this, or I'm healed and everything, and just I'm not. Again, no one's fully ever healed, but I feel like when I get to a certain level, I'm like a little better about these things. Maybe I'll look into it, relationships, but right now I'm just healing myself. Um, Another line, it says, when I feel like I'm falling behind, that's just my ego rumbling. I don't know, that's what it said with this time, but if I let them, negative thoughts start to fall in line. What does that mean to you?
I said, yeah, when I feel like I'm falling behind, that's just my ego brawling with time. And if I let them, negative thoughts end up falling in line. Um, yeah, so it's all just like having a positive mindset, bro. Like just like I said, like we're both talking about right now, man, just being mindful of like what's going on up here. Um, you know, I've learned a lot in the past. I'd say like 5 years, bro. Like I've done a lot of self reflection and just realizing that I am putting more pressure on myself than necessary. I'm putting more pressure on my efforts, my goals and all the things that either I wanted to do or still want to do. Putting way too much pressure on myself, man. And I think it's an extension of like all these things that we've talked about, like, survival mode, generational trauma, but it's just a mindset now. Now to me, it's a mindset of being more kind to myself and being more patient with myself and not letting all that negativity seep in when I feel like, time is my enemy. When I'm not doing stuff fast enough, when I'm not doing stuff like compared to like Joe Schmo or that guy over there, like that guy's, he's already doing this and I'm not doing that. Oh man, like, what's wrong with me? Like, where did I go wrong? Like doing all that negative self-assessment. So yeah, man, I feel like it's a counterintuitive, procedure. I feel like all of us kind of like, go through it to some extent. But I tend to, overanalyze those types of things, and with my anxiety and with my overthinking, like those things can like turn into, really negative thoughts. So I don't even entertain it anymore, man. I just try to find the positive, try to find the good in each situation, and just kind of remind myself, man, that I'm doing great. I'm on my path and I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot, man. I think social media to a degree doesn't help. I think it's great we can communicate and talk to people, but I find myself just looking at a picture and a caption and all the likes. I'm like, damn, like this fool is doing so much. I'm not doing anything, but I don't know what went behind that. Maybe like this person going through other things that I'm not aware of, and I got to be mindful of that. With the time thing, man, I totally agree, man. Like I've been better at not comparing myself to just people's success and everything. Just, I'm really telling myself that everyone's on their own path. Everyone's different. We don't get to see like a person's life 100% based off social media or what they write, you know. But yeah, man, just with time thing, dude, like a lot of times I set expectations for myself that are good, but like a lot of times it's just almost unrealistic. Like I'm all about being positive and everything that I was all about. I still am, but now it's like I'm being more kind to myself, like you are, and just being more realistic in a sense. For like, man, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like just because I got clean doesn't mean like my life will get better instantly right away. It's taking time. It's gotten better, but it's still taking time. And just again with my ego, when I'm like doing that stuff, when I'm just doing, when I'm being who I am, and when I'm doing my best, the best of my ability, and not really judging it and just being patient and cool, it's good. But then when my ego says, "Oh, how you're not doing this and that, you're not doing that," like look at this person, look at that person, like you said, negative thoughts, they start to fall in line, and it's weird, man. I think like we grew up, we're like we believe that pushing ourselves, almost like punishing ourselves, will get us to where we want to be, but it's counterproductive. For me, it doesn't work, man. Like when I start berating myself, I don't accomplish anything. If I do, it'll take a lot longer, and I won't feel good about it.
Yeah, man. I think when it comes to like being hard on myself, like I think one of the triggers for me to like take a step back and not be so hard on myself was reading a book called Atomic Habits. Have you read that book?
I did, yeah.
Bro, like that book really did change my perspective on things, because the whole message, I'm now that both of us have read it, the understanding of making small progress over time is how you make big progress over a long period of time. And that to me was huge, because like I've always looked at it like, okay, I did this amount of progress in this amount of time on this one thing. So now I should be able to do this amount of progress on this amount of time in a shorter amount of time. And that's just not how it works, bro. Like, especially as life progresses and you have more responsibilities, and, I have two kids now, and I have all these different, things pulling me in different directions. Like, it's just not the same, like, so, to be holding myself to all these same standards is counterproductive, like you said. And I think a big part of that is we have like, this hustle culture, that like we wear it like a badge of honor, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm grinding, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to be that hustler, everybody wants to be that guy that's like always on it. And there's a definitely a good attribute to that, and there's always like things that come good that can come from that. But to be able to balance out like your well-being, your mental health, your self-esteem, your actual physical health, and making sure that those things aren't being sacrificed, so that you can live up to that image, I think is where I would like to be, and what I wish I would have like strived for when I was younger.
Yeah, man. So what JC said, we don't sleep or rest 1 hour up. Like that kind of stuff growing up. It's like, oh man, like you don't sleep. Like I can sleep when I'm dead. Like what Young Jeezy said, like drink a Red Bull, can't sleep on life and everything. That was the anthem, bro. Like you're fuck sleeping, like I'm grinding all this stuff. And then like you said, it does serve a purpose. I think it's good. Like I'm not against it, but like you can't be doing it all the time. Like it maybe in your 20s when you're younger, yeah, you can like stay up a lot longer or whatever. But man, I'm learning now that like, dude, I can't be doing that anymore. Like I prioritize my sleep over a lot of things. Good 6 to 8 hours to sleep, sometimes 10, and just to feel better, just to like reset. But yeah, man, that hustler culture, bro. Like the I'm a hustler song with Cassidy, bro. Like that shit was fire, bro. I was doing some wild shit. Listen to that. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that. And yeah, we never really like checked in with ourselves. Like you said, what you said earlier, like we don't check about our feelings, like all this stuff. We gotta get the money, emotionless, like the Jim Jones song, like it, we never really came to think, yeah, this stuff does affect our mental health, our wellness if we don't take breaks,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, the hustle culture thing, like I feel like now it's seeing like, okay, we can't be doing that all the time. It's good to prove to ourselves we can, but like we don't run like that. We're not robots, not yet, at least.
Yeah, man. I think having a strong work ethic is definitely like a plus. It's definitely a good thing. But there just has to be balance, like in anything else, man. Being aware of self is like the number one thing for me. Like if you're working, 10 to 12 hours a day, and you feel great, and you're able to still get in like some exercise, and you're still eating well, and you're still getting some good sleep, and you're prioritizing things like that, and you're okay with your mindset and your mental health, and I think that's great, man. But if you have to get those 10 and 12 hours of work by doing drugs, or doing unhealthy stuff, and you can barely eat healthy, you're not getting any sleep, that stuff catches up, man, and people crash out because of it. I mean, people end up being like hospitalized, or dead, or like it has physical ramifications, beyond just like not having short-term success.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I totally agree. It catches up. Like I didn't want to admit it when I was younger. Like, man, I'm invincible, bro. Like that shit won't happen to me. Like I'll be good. And yeah, man, yeah, it catches up, dude. Like, yeah, big time. So speaking of which, talking about doing drugs and all that, uh, your next line was the worst thing I can do is medicate. I think that alludes to just using, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like when I'm feeling down, or like things aren't going my way, or when I'm thinking of hell on earth and I don't have any heaven in my mind, the worst thing that I can do is like drink or do drugs. I don't have the urge, like I used to, like back when I was like first getting sober. But it's always going to be there, man, to a certain degree. I mean, now it's kind of like, even if I do get that urge, like it's not like it's like, oh, like I'm fighting it. It's just more like I just recognize it, and I just go about my day. Or like I can now, like I can channel it into like my exercise time, and I can revisit that like when I'm in a better space, and try to like dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah, man. For me, yeah, I agree with this line because when things are bad, and there's one thing I can do to make it worse, and that's to self-medicate. That was going back to what we were saying earlier, that's survival mode.
Yep.
You know, when I was younger, I couldn't process these emotions. It was so daunting for me. I didn't know how to do it. I felt like if I did, I would get anxiety just from stuff in the past, and I would just be like stuck. And I didn't want to go through with that. So for me, coping was to self-medicate, just to like get by through the day and just numb out this pain or just forget about it and be happy. But now it's like I can't be doing that anymore. You know, I still think about it every day, but it's not a craving anymore. It's just a thought like, okay, I'm having a bad day. You know, I played in my head. Yeah, I can figure out who still has some shit right now. I can go get high, but I just know like, dude, it'll be only cool for like, the anticipation will be like half the fun. The first hit will be cool. After that, I'll just be in like regret. I'll be so upset. And from there, it'll be like, okay, I just added all this unnecessary like problems, physical and mental and financial problems to what's already going on. It's going to be a lot worse. You know, back then I couldn't process that. I couldn't think far enough. I just thought, okay, I don't care what happens at, you know, like a couple days from now. I just have to not think about this. I just have to get this relief. Let me just do it. Fuck it. But now it's like, yo, it's not going to play out. All the times I've relapsed in the past where I told myself, all right, I'll get high. I'll be cool. But then when I'm coming down, dude, like I'm just in a lot worse position than I was in. So yeah, man. Yeah. Worst thing I can do is self-medicate when it comes to these situations, you know?
I think one of the most valuable things that I've learned that I appreciate now being sober is having a clear mind. Whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, man, like just being able to have those days with a clear mind to me is priceless now. And I used to not be able to do that when I was like, you know, either drunk or high off of something. And then when I did try to like, you know, clear my mind, or I tried to like, you know, refocus on things, or try to slow down, or you know, how we said, like, try to decode, try to sit back and reflect, I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it because my mind was already like, you know, so far gone on, you know, dealing with all these other things that I was thinking about, or all these other things that I was, you know, trying to figure out. So now, like, you know, having a clear mind, man, is just, it's priceless.
Yeah, I agree, man. Having a clear mind is great. It's just sometimes, man, like it'd be so much easier for me sometimes just to be like, let me just get high, you know, just because now that I have a clear mind, I know what I have to work on.
Yeah.
In the past, it was just something's bothering me. I don't know what it is, but I'll take this. I don't have to worry about it. But now it's like I really got to deal with it. It sucks, but it's worth it in the long run.
Yeah, for sure.
Last one is what matters most if you see it half full, doesn't matter how much water's in the glass. Talk to us about that line.
Yeah, man, it's just like always having a positive outlook on things, man. Like whether you're a glass, you know, you see your glasses like only having a little bit in it, or half full, or all the way full. Like you just have to look at it as like it's always half full. I'm a firm believer in that, man. Like I don't think there's any situation where you can tell me that like I'm gonna be thinking that my glass isn't half full. You're talking to somebody that's already almost died. I've been, you know, in jail. I've gone through some pretty messed up stuff, like in my personal life. You know, I've hit rock bottom a couple of times. And you know, I just feel blessed, man. Like I feel lucky to be here. I feel lucky to have what I have. I have two beautiful kids. I have a beautiful wife. I'm very blessed, bro. And I just think that I'm grateful for the opportunity to sober up, and I'm grateful for the outcomes that I've been able to see. And so I'm convinced now, after all this, you know, ups and downs and all these different, you know, times that I had to hit against a brick wall, I'm just grateful now that like I'm able to see it. Yeah, so like being able to always see the good in things, man, is just it's a blessing, bro. Like it's a mindset that I wish everybody could have.
Yeah, man, 100%. proud of you, man. It's really cool to see. I remember like you got sober a long time ago. In my head, I'm like, man, one day I'd be like, maybe I'll be like what this guy one day. Probably not, but that'd be cool. You know, in my head, I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool one of these days. And yeah, I can see it now. You know, when I'm having bad days, when I'm clean, it's like, you know, I'd like to look back and like, you know, like I sometimes I glorify the days when I was still getting high. It still felt good, but I knew in the back of my head it wasn't good. You know, so even on my worst days being clean, like it's better than I was on my best days. You know, I really have to think like, dude, like I could be doing something, I could be doing bad right now, but man, at least I have a clear mind. Like my bank account's better. I'm just healthier. Like I'm not super paranoid like I was. I have anxiety, but it's not to the level it was when I was still using, like super paranoid. You know, I like to compare, you know, like how I was like a few years back to now. And yeah, I just think being grateful, man, sometimes even like if on your worst day, at least you have a place to sleep. You know, you have food in your fridge or whatever. And just little things like that, man, makes me feel grateful and just really shift, you know, my focus. And, you know, bad stuff happens. Some is what like small trivial things and some is like really bad.
Right.
But so far it's just, you know, things get better over time, maybe not today or tomorrow. But yeah, I really have to like be mindful of that, man, because sometimes I just get upset over something really small and just really skews the whole thing. And I have to really look back and just see how far I've come and just all the good and bad I dealt with. And I'm still here. So yeah, man, it's about that. Just like be more positive. 'Cause I feel like if you always see everything negative, you'll never see or be grateful for what you really have.
Yeah, the lock said it a long time ago, man. I learned my first lesson in jail from a peasant. Always be pleasant and happy to be present. I mean, that's just the foundation of like how I look at things, man. I'm like, just I'm happy to be here. You know, I heard you not too long ago, man, like probably like 10, 15 minutes ago, you said, I'm only 20 months over. Bro, 20 months is a long time, bro. So if it was only 20 minutes, I could understand that. But 20 months is a long time, bro. So like, don't short yourself. Don't, you know, sell yourself short because that takes a lot of strength, takes a lot of courage, bro. And I'm proud of you, man. I mean, 20 months is a hell of a span of like sobriety.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's just in hindsight though, like it's just the beginning. But yeah, I'm super proud of it. You know, like I stopped counting the days. I forgot the months already. I'm living it. But but yeah, man, it's a trip, it's a journey. You know, so yeah, man, that's the end of the episode, bro. Check out if you haven't heard the song Heaven in My Mind. It's out wherever you listen to music. Really dope positive message. I like the bars, like a pillowcase, life is easy to fold. You got the bars in there. Some cheat codes. Pretty dope song, man. I really like it. So if you're into that kind of music, uplifting, positive, go check it out. Where can we find you on Instagram and social media and all that?
You can check out the new song, Heaven in My Mind at profound916.com. We're really trying to like take the onus away from like Spotify and all the streaming platforms. So if you really want to support something positive, go to profound916.com. I'm a hip hop head to the fullest, and I support like all this kind of hip hop. Like, so if you do the same thing, hit me up, and I'll show love too. But you can hit me up on Instagram at Timothy Rhyme or at Profound916, either one. Down to connect with anybody.
Dope, man. Well, it's always nice Yeah, well, it's nice talking to you, man. Always is. Bro, it's a trip. For those who don't know, I've known this guy since, wow, it'll be 10 years, bro. 2014. 2014, Hip Hop Culture Club. That's where we first met at CSUN. You, one of the founders, bro. And it's really cool, man. I've got to work with you. Got to work with 60 East, Rhyme Easy. It's really cool working with First Dirt Degree. You know, it's pretty dope, and just everybody in the club doing their thing. I'm really proud of them. It's just, damn, 10 years, bro. Time flies, dog.
Facebook memories not too long ago. It was like, I think it was like the 10-year anniversary of this picture that we all took in the library wearing our hip hop culture club shirts.
Yeah, bro. Time flies, man. Time flies. Well, hey, thank you again for your time, bro. Have a good one.